So a few months ago, I made a video on this channel about my spring and summer knitting and crochet plans. And I thought today we should do a little update on how much progress I've made on those plans, because I have made a lot of progress and I kind of want to flex it, but also I'm in the middle of working on one of the bigger projects of that list. And I thought that part of this video could also be a project vlog while I wrap that up, because it's a project that I've kind of just been dying to have in my wardrobe for a long time, and it's taken me a while, but I want to motivate myself to like really get through it, and doing project vlogs always seems to do that. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. We'll get to that later in the video. For now, I'm just going to go through all of my spring and summer crochet projects and knits, and we're just going to do a little check-in and see if I've finished them, if I'm still working on them, what kind of progress have I made on them, all that good stuff. So let's get into it. All right, so the first two things that I'm going to talk about are these sweaters that I knit up. Both of these were winter whips that I finished. So the first one is my Clio sweater. This is a pattern by Paul Hazemeyer. I'm not going to talk too much about this one because I did a whole project vlog on the last few steps of this sweater, but I love this thing. This was my first time ever doing a test knit or testing a pattern of any kind actually, and whew, okay, this was a doozy. As I think you guys can tell, this is in a fingering weight and the needles were really tiny. I think I ended up using like 2mm or 3mm or something like that. So this project was a massive undertaking, but when I tell you guys I wear this thing all the time, I mean I wear this all the time. I knit this up in a superwash merino and yak blend. So far I've actually been able to get away with throwing this sweater on as just kind of like a light layer over top of things. Now, as summer's heating up, I don't think I'm really going to be doing that anymore, but in those transitional, like cool morning, cool evening kind of summer days that we were having in June, this was a perfect go-to. So as you can see, the fingering weight just makes it super light and drapey. So I love this one. This is completely finished. It's been blocked. The ends have been woven in and I've worn it all the time. The next one is the Cloud Blouse by Petite Knit. I also did a project vlog on this one, so again, I'm not going to go into too much of detail, but I love this one. I have not gotten to wear it yet. I wore it after I blocked it to take pictures for my Instagram, but otherwise it just got too hot in New York City, so I won't be wearing this anytime soon. But I absolutely love this sweater. I'm so happy with how it came out. So something funny about this sweater that I didn't talk about in the project vlog actually, because I had already made like a whole Instagram reel about it. This is the project that taught me I twist my stitches. You know, I obviously make YouTube videos, I make a lot of Instagram video content, so I oftentimes film myself knitting. And I was watching footage of making this back, and I had noticed something was off, because this garment is supposed to be a very like open knit, but Petite Knit's sample really had some breadth to it and really had some space to it, and I was noticing that mine didn't at all. Obviously, I don't think my knits are ever gonna look exactly like Petite Knit's, but I was noticing that mine just looked pretty different. All this to say, I learned that I twist my stitches when I knit, or at least I used to. I have since worked on this, which we'll also get to in a second. I almost frogged it, but this is 2 strands of mohair held together. The halo on this yarn is pretty intense, and anytime I did try to frog it, it was kind of a pain. And honestly, I was just having a really fun time working on this. I love the finished piece. I think it's gonna be funny a few years from now as my knitting improves to be able to look back on this piece and be like, oh my god, the whole thing is twisted. Even now I look at it and I'm just like, oh my, like you can really see in the texture of the fabric that this is all twisted, but it's beautiful on, so who cares? I'm gonna wear it a lot, and it was a learning lesson. The yarn I chose for this is truly so soft. I love this thing. I can't wait till it cools down because I'm gonna be sporting this bad boy all over. Highly recommend this pattern. Again, I already did just talk about it more than I meant to in this video, but you should check out my project vlog if you want more info on the pattern, the yarn I chose, all that good stuff. So as far as whips that I brought into the spring and summer, those were the 2. So now let's move on to the crochet plans that I had for spring and summer. This one's a little bit of a heartbreaker. So this might still be, but was at least supposed to be, the Cold Shoulder Top by Titty Tops by Kay. The fabric itself works up really quickly. I had a ton of momentum when I first started this project. I also just was really excited about this project because it's unlike any other crochet piece that I have in my collection. I would bring this with me on the train when I was commuting somewhere, and that kind of helped because it was like a mindless thing that I could work on. But because this became a commuter project, I would throw it in my bag when I would go places. You guys, this has never happened to me before with a project. Something spilled on this. So coffee had spilled on this in my bag, but then there's also just this weird, mysterious red stain on it. And when I saw that, I was so frustrated because I had just made so much progress on the second strap. So I tried washing it. I used some stain remover. I was able to get the coffee out, but this red stain, I don't know what it is. And it's all over it in this one section. So I'm kind of stumped on what to do, to be honest. I kind of think I need to start this whole thing over. I'm so frustrated. I've never had this kind of problem happen with a whip. And the reason I'm frustrated, I know it looks like I've done nothing on this, but this took so long. So anyway, that's the cold shoulder top. That's where I'm at with that. The next one that I had talked about in my video was bandanas that I was making for my pet sitter. I don't have this bandana on me anymore, obviously, because it was a gift, but I did end up making a bandana for my pet sitter Alexa's dog Joni. It came out really cute. I'm really happy with it. I think I learned some things from making that one. I had never before made a piece that was a bunch of separate crochet flowers strung together until that bandana. I don't know if my design concepts honestly landed in the end. In hindsight, I wish I had done like a mesh triangle bandana and sewn the flowers on top of that, but I did end up making it. It was really cute. That was a really fun project. I'm glad I did it, and that is the finished object. So the next thing that I had talked about in that video was the Tied and True tank by Starcross Knits. Not too much to say about this yet. Because I did get started and I'm gonna have to frog a lot because there's a row of twisted stitches in here, and obviously I'm trying to stop twisting my stitches, so I will go back and correct that mistake. I'm using the Loops and Threads facet yarn in Sweet Raspberry, and this was supposed to be a stash busting project for this yarn. I'm really excited about this pattern. It's worked flat, which I didn't realize, but that actually ended up being kind of perfect for me needing to reteach myself how to knit. So I think that this will be good because I'm doing a lot of knitting and purling, and then there's short rows and there's increases and stuff in this pattern, so I think that this is kind of a perfect piece to be sharpening my skills on. That's what's going on with the Tied and True tank. This is a whip that is in the very early stages. So the last thing that I talked about in that original video was some things that I would only work on if I got to it, and part of it was stash busting some of my Karen cake yarn, my like novelty Karen cakes from Michaels. And I actually did end up going ahead and making one of those projects. So originally I thought that I wanted to do like a super loose gauge, like huge needle kind of sweater with this yarn. But one day, it was while I was working on the Coyote sweater, which was a really slow to work up kind of piece, I was like, I just need something that I can conceive a design for tonight and finish tonight and wear tomorrow. You know, when you just need a quick win like that. So I took the Karen cake yarn and I busted out my Centro machine, and then I made this bad boy. This is truly just 2 panels on the Centro, and then I did some neckline shaping on the front panel, and then I added a collar, and that's it. I crocheted the bottom of the panels as well once they were sewn together, and then I like steeked the piece basically in this asymmetrical hem because I decided after I had made it that I wanted to do that. And I don't know, it was kind of just a silly little project just to like get my creative juices flowing. I never really thought I was gonna wear this that much. I have worn this like probably 3 or 4 times already. Yeah, I don't know. I really like this guy. I think I want to make some more tops like this that are just like simple Centro knits for summer because it's been a perfect nice like vest kind of tank situation just when I need to throw something on really quick. Let me know in the comments if you guys want to know how to make this, and I can totally teach you how. It's like literally so simple. I think I made the whole thing in like 3 hours. The next project that we're going to talk about is actually what I'm going to be working on in the rest of this video. This is the Relaxagon shirt by Caroline Zuschlag. So I have the first panel of this guy done. I am now working on the second side of the shirt. So basically the shirt is these 2 hexagonal panels worked separately and then put together. So I'm just at the very beginning of this second panel, and whoo, you have got to have patience to make this thing. And let me tell you, it's worth it. Like, this is gonna be such a perfect summer shirt. I already know exactly where I wanna wear it. My boyfriend and I are going to Hershey Park in a few weeks, and I know I wanna wear this there. And it's just gonna be a super light, perfect summer shirt. It's just that it takes so long because you're just making a big, I don't know, rectangle, I guess. I mean, it's like the hexagon up here, but you just go around and around, and the bigger it gets, it takes a long time. It will be worth it though. I'm really excited. This is something that I have wanted to make for so long, and I'm really excited for how it's going to come out. I have to say, I'm not crazy about how the yarn is working up. I love the weight of it, and I think like functionally I made a great choice, but like color-wise, I really wanted this to be super bright and funky, and kind of isn't reading the way I wanted it to read, and I'm kind of worried it's not really going to be my style. In the original video, I had mentioned that I wanted to make the shorts that are matching for this shirt. And also in the video, I said that I wanted that set done by July 4th. That is not happening. Like, this takes long enough that I'm not gonna be able to have that done. More to come on the pants for sure, but for now, this is where the shirt is at. So this is a whip that's nearly finished. Oh my gosh, okay. Here's what the plan is now. Later today, I'm going with some friends to a party at Cleo's Yarn Shop. Cleo's Yarn Shop, if you don't know, is this amazing yarn store here in Brooklyn. They do a ton of events and classes and stuff. I've talked about them on this channel before. Please go check them out. They're such an amazing, like, third space community resource. I love Cleo's. Cleo's is moving to a different location, and to celebrate that move, they're doing a weekend-long party, basically. That's kind of like a pride moving out sort of deal. So a few of my fiber friends and I are gonna go to that. So I'm gonna work on this relaxagon a bit more. As you can see, I'm on the accent color of this, and I just finished the second row of the accent color. There's only 3. So what I'm hoping I can do is finish the third row while I'm still here at home. So then I just have to bring the base color with me, because the base color is like a much smaller skein of yarn. So yeah, we're gonna do that and then see how much we can knock out today. I worked on this a lot yesterday and I made some really good progress. So I'm actually pretty hopeful that we can knock this out soon. Today it is Sunday, and yeah, let's stop talking about it. Let's just rock and roll and see how much crocheting we can get done. So it's a little after 9 p.m. right now on Sunday. I thought I would just update you guys on the progress that I made. So basically I did 5 rows total today. After I checked in with you guys last, I did the third row of the accent color before I left my house. And then between the bus trip to Cleo's and the craft circle itself, I got 4 rows of my base color done. All in all, that would have probably been over 4 hours of crocheting. So when I tell you guys this thing takes a long time,
takes a long time,
but I'm loving how it's working up. I had a great time at the craft circle, so I also wasn't totally just working on this the whole time. I was also talking to people. I was helping someone who was working on a project that they had questions about, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, that's the progress that I made today. I think after this check-in, I'm probably gonna do a few more rows of this in bed tonight, probably just like 1 or 2. But yeah, I'll check in with you guys next tomorrow. All right, everybody, it is now Tuesday and I unfortunately have a tragic update for you all. But first, let me tell you guys what I got done yesterday. So I didn't do too much. You guys saw the clips of me crocheting on the subway. That was just me on my way to work. I got like half a row done or something. And then later on, before I fell asleep, I just did a little bit of crocheting in bed last night. I did like a row and a half. As I was crocheting last night, I started to grow a concern that I hadn't had yet while working on this project. I started looking at the yarn ball and I was realizing it was dwindling really, really fast. This project eats up a lot of yarn. Obviously, it's really big and crochet just takes a lot of yarn. But I started to get kind of nervous, and then this morning, really quickly, I only did 2 rows of crochet on this, and then I started seaming up the top of the sleeve. Halfway through seaming up the sleeve, I lost yarn chicken. So I was not expecting that. Clearly, I underestimated how much yarn I would need for this. So I've already placed an order, but that does mean that this is gonna have to be on hold for a little bit. I get my yarn for this project from Hobie, which is an international brand. So it's gonna take probably like a week for me to get the yarn. So I'll check in with you guys once I get that in. I'm so close to being done with this shirt. Like the second panel is almost finished, and then I just need to seam them together and add the collar and stuff. So once I get the yarn, we're gonna be rocking and rolling, but can't do anything until then. So kind of just depends on when that yarn comes in the mail. So I'll check in with you guys in a few days. Okay, it's Monday. A reminder, I don't actually even know if I said this yet. The goal was for me to be able to wear this shirt on Friday. I'm going to a theme park on Friday. My goal was to wear it there. That remains to be seen. But I wanted to update you guys because my yarn order came in and I thought that we could do a little unboxing. This is my second time ordering yarn from Hobie. Maybe they just call themselves Hobby. I don't know. I call them Hobie. Am I wrong? Please let me know. So I got a few things. So I have these cones in 3 other colors. Hi. I have them in black, white, and cream, and they're great. These are the Cotton Kings Cone 500 8/4 yarn. Their colors are just numbers, so these colors are 20 and 16. It's a bright, like lime green, and a sort of deep royal blue. I'm not totally sure what I'm going to make with these yet. I had an idea when I ordered them and then swiftly forgot it. But today some pictures came out of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift leaving a restaurant last night in London. And she was wearing a crochet dress, and now I just can't get it out of my head that I like need to make that. So these might be part of that, TBD. But the reason for placing the order was this. This is the yarn that I used for my relaxagon shirt, and I only need a little bit more to finish the shirt itself, but I have hopes and aspirations of making the matching shorts. So yeah, that's all. I just wanted to update you guys. I got my yarn. I've been working like crazy this week. I haven't crocheted or knit in like 3 or 4 days, which I don't do. So I might keep working tonight. I think odds are I'm probably gonna get some work done tomorrow evening. So regardless, I will check in with you guys when I work on the shirt next, but we have the material now, so we can move forward. Oh my gosh, I finished it. How's it look? You like it? Okay, so I just wanted to wrap this video up. Today it's July 7th and I finished this shirt on June 27th. The park day where I first wore this shirt was June 28th. So I actually met my goal of finishing it and being able to wear it to Hershey Park, which was awesome. I have to say, it was the perfect shirt for that day. This is a super light, very breezy, very drapey shirt. So I'm so glad that I made it in time for that day, and I think I'm gonna get a lot of wear of this for the rest of the summer. Before I get too ahead of myself, let me catch you guys up on what happened after I last checked in with you. So after I got my yarn order in, things went pretty quickly. Like I mentioned in my last check-in, I was pretty busy before I left for my trip. I was working a lot. I work in film, so I do long days, very hard days, and when I get home, I don't normally want to do much of anything, and so I didn't really work on the project until after that shoot wrapped. And once it did, oh my gosh, I flew through this shirt. The thing that was so frustrating about running out of yarn to begin with was that I truly was almost done. So once I got the yarn in, I just had to sew up the second panel of the shirt, add on a few rows to that side, add the collar, and then do the trim. And then I had to add the buttons. What I was able to accomplish in one night of having the yarn and sitting down and really working on this shirt, I got through seaming up the second panel, I added the width that I needed to that second panel, and then I made the collar. I seamed up the second panel, I added width to that panel. Width is such a hard word to say clearly. I'm gonna write it up on the screen so you know what I'm saying. I did the collar, and that was actually it for then because, oh my gosh. If you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen my reel about this. My second panel, I realized as I was seaming the two panels together that my gauge had gotten much looser over time as I made that second panel. Meaning that when I seamed the two sides of the shirt together, though I was going through the same number of stitches, I realized that one side was much longer than the other, and the stitches had a lot more space and like breadth between them than the other. I can actually show you on the front of this shirt, so I'm going to get a little bit closer. On this side of the shirt, this is my first panel. You can see I don't have a lot of space in between my stitches. I was hitting gauge for the pattern here, and the tension on this panel is more or less pretty even. I guess it gets a little bit looser as I was just starting this panel, but oh my gosh, this is what the outer rows of the second panel look like. So this, and then this. And trust me when I say I double checked a million times I was using the same hook. I don't know what it was. It wasn't even that these rows all occurred after I got my new yarn, so it's not even like, oh, you know, you picked up a week later than you had left off. Obviously your tension's off. Some of these looser rows are from way before I ever ran out of yarn. So I don't know, total mystery to me. By the time I realized I was already seaming up, so I just left it and I prayed to the crochet gods that it would work out in the block. I basically did a really harsh blocking process. So I washed it in really hot water and I also put it through the dryer. I didn't dry it completely in the dryer, I just did that to wick all the moisture away because at this point I was working on the shirt and blocking it the night before I was leaving for my trip. So I really needed it to get dry so it didn't get like mildewy for one. I decided to hit it with a lot of heat because I know that cotton really shrinks a lot in heat, but I wasn't so sure that I would be able to stretch the tighter stitches, so I decided to go for shrinking the looser ones rather than loosening the tighter ones. I don't know, maybe that wasn't the right course of action. It worked well enough. That was probably, I will say with this project, the biggest glaring mistake that I made or issue that I had. So like I said, I finished blocking the shirt right before I left for my vacation the night before. But that meant that once I got in the car, I still had to weave in ends, I had to add the trim to the shirt, and I also had to add the buttons. The border for this was really cool. It was something I had never heard of before, and I can't remember the name of. I will put it on the screen. This was a new technique to me, and it was one of those things where at first when I saw it, I was like, I'm just gonna skip that. Like, I don't know what that is, and it looks complicated, but it's really not. And once I learned how to do it, I fell in love with the finished product, so I cannot wait to use it on future projects. And I'm really glad that I learned a new skill from this pattern. I wasn't actually expecting that. And then yeah, I just put the buttons on this shirt in the car. I ended up doing the buttons largely in the dark. That was interesting. Don't necessarily recommend that. Yeah, all those finishing touches didn't take too long. I was able to get a lot of work done at my house before I left. So the buttons that I put on this shirt, I'm actually really excited about. So when I went to Portugal in November, my partner and I stayed in a town called Ericeira, and there is a yarn store there that is unlike any yarn store I have ever been to. We went to some of the most amazing yarn stores in Portugal, by the way. We went to this one that was in this town that we stayed in called Trico Las. I don't speak Portuguese, I hope I said that right. And they had just the coolest buttons I've ever seen. They had like any kind of button you could ever want for any project. And I ended up getting these buttons that I put on this shirt. The one thing I'll say about the buttons though, and I think it also has to do with the fact that I made a really long version of this shirt. I only have 5 of these buttons, and so I only have 5 on this shirt, and this shirt just needs more buttons on it. So I think I might actually have to take these buttons off of this shirt and replace them with some other ones that I can get more of, because I only have this many of these buttons and I can't order them from the store's website. And I'd rather put them on something where they'll actually be both beautiful and useful to me. But for now, I absolutely love them. Ultimately, I do think when the shirt is buttoned, you can tell that something's a little off with it. When you look at the back of the shirt, you can see, because the panels are side by side, that one side has a lot more space and one side does not. Again though, what's really nice about this shirt, it's super loose, it's super flowy, it's super drapey, so it's moving a lot when I wear it. And so far, I think it hasn't been that big of a deal. I've been able to get away with it. I am a little bummed though, because I was hoping to wear this as a true button up, and I just think that with this little mess up intention, I'm not really going to be able to do that. But we'll see. I'm hopeful that over time the stitches will all kind of, you know, relax together. Relaxagon, relax together. And that over time the tension will kind of even out. That remains to be seen. Check in with me later on that one. Overall, this pattern is super clear. As long as you get your math right in the beginning, it's really smooth sailing. I think this pattern went viral for a reason. It's super customizable and I can't recommend it enough. It does take a long time, it takes a lot of patience, but oh my gosh, it's just so worth it. Even with mine being kind of funky and the panels being a little uneven, this is an awesome shirt. I'm gonna wear it all the time. In terms of whether or not I wanna make the shorts, I've decided I definitely do. I think I'm gonna wear this shirt enough to justify it, and I also think that despite the fact that for a minute there I was worried that this color choice of yarn was gonna be too muddy, I don't think it's too muddy. I think in person it looks pretty bright and that the bone accent color works perfectly for it. I am definitely gonna make the shorts. The problem is I'm gonna need to order more of the accent color, which I cannot believe I didn't even consider when I placed my last order. But I was originally going to make the collar entirely out of the accent color, and as I was working on the shirt on that night when I wrapped most of it up, I noticed that I was starting to run out of this yarn after like 3 rows of using the accent color, so I ended up just going with the original design of the pattern, which is the main color accent and the main color again. That way I had enough. But if I want to do the shorts, I'm gonna need to order more. So that'll probably be further down the line. May even be next summer, to be honest. I can't imagine doing another granny stitch right now. Okay, y'all, that's gonna be all from me. I hope you enjoyed this sort of 2-for-1. Checking in on my whips and then finishing one of them. Let me know what you thought about it below. If you're not already, please be sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm @_thedroppedstitch. And if you'd like to check me out on Ravelry, I am The Dropped Stitch, all one word, but with 2 H's at the end. And if you're not already, please be sure to subscribe down below. And until I catch you in the next one, be sure to be nice to yourself, drink some water, stretch your wrists, and please purl responsibly. I'll see y'all later. Bye!